everyone, Adam here. Time for what I watched, just some of the movies I watched through the last month. Yeah, so I've decided to make this a regular thing. It's just easier than doing reviews for pretty much every new movie I saw. Alright, so let's get started. I'll start from the 26th of February. I watched Studio 666. This is the Foo Fighters horror comedy with the band trying to get their 10th album made, but they seem to be in a place that some bad stuff happened. None of this is to be taken seriously. It is fun, it's funny. Some pretty decent gore effects too. A lot of it is tongue-in-cheek. But I will say it's kind of bittersweet now, knowing what happened to Taylor Hawkins. Yeah, and I was going to go, they were having a concert here this year, but of course it's been cancelled, which disappointed, but 100% understand, so yeah. But still, it was a fun movie. And some cameos from people in the entertainment industry and horror. Next up, on the 4th of March, watched The Batman, which everybody seemed to love. I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. No, I like Batman. I'm a fan of the Batman movies. But this one, I don't know, I just really couldn't get into it. And I wanted to, because look, there's nothing wrong with trying to make Batman a bit more realistic. But this one, I just couldn't get into. And while I'll be honest, it was well acted, well made. I don't know. I wanted to like it. I really did. But I just couldn't, and I don't know. I mean, like everybody else has been praising it, but I just couldn't get into it. And, on the 6th, I watched Turkey Shoot, which is an Ozploitation movie set in the near future where prisoners are hunted for sport by the elite. It's actually pretty fun. I'd never seen it before. I've heard of it. A little bit of satire in it, with some... this is directed by Brian Trenchard Smith, who's known for doing these type of Ozploitation movies. I mean, it is violent, it is a little over the top, but it's actually a really good movie. With a pretty decent cast. Steve Rail was back, Olivia Hussey, Roger Ward, who people would know from Mad Max, Gus Mercurio. So yeah, I mean, if you like kind of an action sci-fi, I'd recommend it. I'd never seen it before. I wanted to see it for years, and I found it to be a lot of fun. So on the 11th of March, I watched Hellraiser Inferno. I'm starting to watch the direct-to-video Hellraiser films. Technically, though, here, Hellraiser Bloodline went straight to video here. Didn't actually get a cinema release, but this one, it's kind of average. Lead character, it was like a police detective, is trying to solve a case of murdered children. It doesn't really feel like a Hellraiser film. It feels like Pinhead was shoehorned in, but when I had a look on IMDb, it wasn't really originally a Hellraiser film. They had to rewrite it to make it connect to Hellraiser. And there's not much of Pinhead, which sometimes is alright. Sometimes with Pinhead, less is more. But here is just a couple of appearances. I mean, Doug Bradley is good, and I will admit this, I mean, I couldn't stand the lead character, which is a problem in a movie, but it was well made, and it's interesting that the director went on to direct bigger things. He actually went on to direct Doctor Strange, so yeah, that's one thing. It was well made, but just wasn't very good. It's considered one of the better ones, which makes me wonder how bad are the other ones going to be. Next up, I watched The Strangers Pray at Night, of course, the follow-up to the original. I didn't mind it. The plot sees a family at a trailer park that seems to be abandoned for some reason, with, of course, the strangers doing what they do, trying to kill them because, you know. I will say, I did like the soundtrack. I'm always a sucker for anything that has an 80s soundtrack. But yeah, there were some pretty good moments. Pretty violent, but that's what we're here for. I don't know if that was better than the original, although I haven't watched that in a while, so... But I thought it was decent. It was a pretty decent follow-up to the first one. On the 20th, I watched Host, about 2 years after everybody has already seen it, which is the... well, it's not really found footage. Or is it? I guess you'd call it found footage. About 6 friends who hire a medium, doing it over Zoom, set during lockdown. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'll give it... It's not very long, though. 57 minutes, which I guess isn't a bad thing. But I would say, well, considering the limitations they had, I thought this was pretty well done. Yeah, and some decent effects for what is essentially a really low-budget film, and making a movie during lockdown, well, that's pretty good. And I think most of the cast did a pretty decent job. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't mind this at all, actually. Up next, on the 26th of March, I saw X, which is about a group of young filmmakers set in 1979 trying to make an adult film. But I'm not going to spoil it too much, but as this has been a horror movie, you can expect things don't go right. I will say Mia Goth, who I'm not really familiar with, did a pretty good job. She was the lead character, but pretty much all the cast did a lot. Yeah, some violent scenes and ample amount of nudity. Boy, said that way too excitedly. Yeah, so I hope you like it's kind of like an old school slasher, but it's actually really well shot. On the 1st of April, I watched Morbius, which I actually found pretty average. I didn't enjoy it at all. I wanted to because I don't mind the Marvel movies. I will say there was some pretty good performances from Jared Leto and Matt Smith. You know, it's about a doctor trying to find a cure for the disease he has with artificial blood. Mixing bat blood with human DNA, you can guess what happens. I just found it kind of dull. The CGI fight scenes were kind of hard to comprehend what was going on to me. I know other people like that's fine. Remember, as always, this is just my opinion. Don't get angry. Settle down. Yeah, but it just seemed to drag, and it wasn't even a long movie. Yeah, so wasn't a fan. This is probably one of the more disappointing Marvel Sony movies. Yeah. Okay, so that about wraps it up for this, what I watched. Let us know, have you seen any of these, and what did you think? Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Adam, and I'll see you again soon.